What's up, boys and girls? This is SPITLOGIC, and I'm about to do another album review.
Get into it, 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 get into it. Okay, now let's get into it, get into it, get into it.
Nappy Talk is the latest album by Chicago-based rapper Matt Muse. So with any album review, I'm going to go over the beats, the lyrics, the quality, the theme, and the standouts. What is it about this album that sets it apart from others, and does it work? So let's get started on those beats. So the beats here on this album. Now, they're not being backed by a major label. This is an independent group. This is an independent artist. So the beats on here are not the highest standard of beats. With that being said, one thing that I did like about this album, those drums, the drum tracks on each of the beats. Another thing that I liked, and something that I feel like a lot of albums that you hear don't really do a good job incorporating, is creating different sound beds that have a wide range. Even though this was more of an independent sound, the beats weren't as astute as more established producers. There was a wide range of beats. There was a wide range, and it had a different feel, a different texture with each of the beats. I really did enjoy that part of it, and I could feel something in there. I could feel what the artist was trying to convey through those beats, even though it wasn't, up to the standards of a Kanye or a Nas. I will say that just listening to the beats, it reminded me more of Tyler, the Creator, that whole crew, the way that those beats came across. And I enjoyed those beats. I enjoyed the beats that him and his crew have. These beats over here, there's no exception to it. I enjoyed it even though it wasn't the best quality of beats.
Going ghost, nigga, put me on the Snapchat. Got goals, nigga, trying to make rap stacks. Since Jay had pink colors in the backpack, hey, it been lost and I can't Google Map back.
Lyrics on this album. I'm going to say this like I say every single review I do. I am a lyric man. And I could say that listening to this album, not only is there a wide range of beats, but there's a wide range of subject matter. I also just enjoyed listening to how the artist, how Matt Muse would rap over these beats and the way that these choruses were put together. I thought it was just very clever the way he put a lot of these choruses together. I thought the lyrics and the punchlines were on par, and I felt like the subject matter that he was talking about was very strong. So when it comes to these lyrics on here, I am a huge fan of the lyrics on this album.
I'm just cool until my album drop, and the Steel team never stop. Hey.
The quality on this album. Now, we're talking an independent artist, and that is independent in probably the truest sense of the word. He's not being backed by a major record label. He's not being backed by, oodles of money. But what they do and what they have, it works out. The quality isn't that good. I don't expect a high quality album from an artist that is not being backed by a major studio. With that being said, I felt like a lot of the way that they leveled out the music, the way that they kept the beat simple, it allowed them to make the mixing simple as well. So when you have complex beats with a lot of different sounds and a lot of different soundscapes a part of it, it's very hard to flatten and even all that out, especially when you put vocals as a part of the entire song. The way that they did it, and the few sound effects or the few vocal effects that they put into this particular album, it worked out. I think for the most part, and what I like is when you just hear the artist's voice, when it's not a lot of manipulation of the voice. I didn't hear a lot of that, and for that, I do appreciate it, and I enjoyed the listening portion of this album.
We got no issues, you must shake, but baby, I can't forget you, you a special kind of lady. 'Cause when I'm with you.
So what is the theme of this album? What is it that Matt Muse is trying to say with this album? again, it's a wide range of subjects, but just the title Nappy Talk, it is an expression of him as an artist and an expression of him growing out his hair for the past 3 years, I believe. And there is culturally, there is a train of thought that believes that your hair can act as an antenna to receive certain vibes, and it can change you. If you do things to your hair, if you put chemicals in your hair, you can mess with those transmissions, but growing it out and just growing it naturally and living in a natural state, a more natural life, helps you to be more in tune with yourself as a person and gives you an honest interpretation of yourself through your art. There is no exception to this. I feel like this was a very honest album. I think it was an album that expressed his opinions, that expressed his dreams and hopes, and also expressed his willingness or his want to be who he is and remain who he is despite whatever happens in his life. I think it's admirable and a good theme all around.
Negro saying, they ain't trying to hear what this Negro saying. I said Negro saying. They don't want to hear what this Negro saying. Think this Negro.
What is it about this album that stands out? This, I'm assuming, is his first album. It is an independent album. It is an album done in his way, and it is an album that is done in direct correlation with his life. He has so much potential. There is so much potential there. There is so much talent there, and there is so much further that this artist can go in his career. I'm listening to this and it reminds me of a younger version of me. It reminds me of the first album of any artist that you hear, how that determination and that hunger is there, and those intangible talents that you don't necessarily see, that you can't necessarily look at on a computer or fixate with some sort of data device, but you can hear it. You can hear it through the music and you can feel it. With that producer that he's working with his subject matter, with his crew that I feel like he has of other artists, I think that there is so much potential there. And I'm honestly just looking forward to the next Matt Muse project or someone from within that camp coming out with something. So with all things considered, I give this album a composite score of a 4.05. This was a really good album to listen to. Not for the quality, not necessarily for the fact that I feel as though it is up to par with some of the best albums that are made, but because of the potential that I see with this individual. I am a fan of independent artists. I'm a fan of underground hip hop. It doesn't mean that I shun any mainstream artists or anyone that's famous, but there is, when we talk about independent artists, there are essentially two camps of independent artists. There are those who are trying to get into the mainstream by following that industry standard, by recreating what is popular and what individuals like. And there's nothing wrong with that. But my personal preference are the artists who go out on a limb, who harness within themselves a piece of what they are, and they implant that into the form of art, into music. And I feel like that's exactly what was going on with Matt Muse. It has sounds, it has a few inklings of what we may consider an industry standard, but this is the world we live in. This is the kind of hip hop that we have right now. And it would be very difficult for any artist not to be influenced by what they hear. That being said, there's just something there that I feel when I listen to this album, and something that really makes me want to support them. And I will always support underground artists. I will always support independent artists. But more specifically, there has to be a level of talent and a level of commitment that I hear within the music. And that's exactly what I hear in this artist's music. So those are my thoughts. Why don't you let me know what you think? And until next time, peace.